Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the official SuperCoach AFL podcast. I'm Paton, and today we're going to recap a massive SuperCoach draft that took place in the building this morning, and I've got two very special guests with me to do that who are both part of the big event this morning. First of all, Dossy, great to have you in the same building, and you're a self-proclaimed draft expert. Did you think that played out this morning?
Yeah, it was great fun. Great to be here. Thanks, Al. Yeah, over in the big smoke for just a night. But got to do this SuperCoach draft with some great people in this office here. And our our actual special guest here as well. Played out pretty much how I expected. I'm sure we'll get into it. But, Dossy, he certainly knows his draft, that's for sure.
Well, maybe let the listeners and the viewers, of course, on Coach Sports YouTube, be the judge of that very shortly. But welcoming as well onto the couch, DR, one of the great men of the SuperCoach community, of course, and fantastic that you could get into the building today and be part of our draft.
Thanks for having us, guys. Thanks for having us. I could get used to doing this every day. Had a ripping time and very excited to be on. Thanks again.
Now, I may have said we did a little recap after the draft, and I think I talked up the Phantom after that, but going back over the teams, I'm going to recant that because DR absolutely brained it when we go through some of the picks. So we'll just talk about the first couple of rounds, maybe go through those picks and what we thought, and then some of the sort of overall best and worst picks. There's some very interesting ones there. Definitely stay tuned for those, and then maybe we'll see who we thought actually took out the honours. So hopefully it's a bit of help for people out there who might be doing their drafts coming up before opening rounds, only a week away. So.
Yeah, I know drafts are just going on, bonkers at the moment. I've already been involved in a few myself, including our Keeper League, which we spoke about the other day. But it's really fun to just get into it. And the league settings in this one maybe it's probably around the mark of what people sort of go with, maybe an 8 to 10, between 8 and 12. I think we've got 8 teams in ours, but I think overall, it's just really good to see where people are at, and there's certainly some names going at sort of some interesting spots, I reckon, Al.
Yes, no, I definitely agree with that. We'll get into that. So, as you said, there were 8 teams, and the setup for everybody was 2 defenders, 3 mids, 1 ruck, 2 forwards, and 4 on the bench with no flex in this comp. But, of course, it's so flexible, and you can select whatever options you want in SuperCoach Draft. If you want flex on or off, you want captains on or off, how many players you want in your league, all those sorts of things are totally customisable. One of the great features of SuperCoach Draft, of course. We got straight into it with Chloe had pick 1. So if we quickly go through round 1 of the draft, and she took Marcus Bontempelli with pick 1. So not a huge shock there, I don't think. I had pick 2 and took Zach Butters. Then Dan came in hot with pick 3. Max Gawn.
Big one.
So the first ruckman off the table. That was always going to be a bit of an interesting watch. Then pick 4, Nick Dacos. Patch jumped on there. DR had the next pick 5, Naziah Wanganeen Miller, first defender picked. Then Dossy went straight to the forward line, Harry Sheasel.
Surprised he was there, honestly.
Yeah,
I think he is going very much higher in drafts. I know it's still first round, but I've seen him going, top 3 picks just to get him off the board because he is that clear kind of number 1 forward. So pretty surprised. Keen to hear what you guys think, but we'll go to the last pick.
You're pretty happy to get him. And the last, Simeon had picked 7, 5 names, took Tristan Cherry, despite telling us he's going to fade Cherry in Classic.
I know.
It was interesting. Yeah. And then the Phantom came in last with pick 8, the last pick of the first round, and he took another ruck in Brodie Grundy. So, I mean, DR, what's your sort of initial reactions to those first 8 picks in our draft today?
Gawn's a little bit early, isn't he? A little bit early. I was speaking to Dan about that before, and he wasn't quite sure where he was going, but I think it's a bit of a gamble taking him that high, but I think it made it a little bit easier for pick 4 and pick 5, which was good.
I think just rucks in general, I wasn't expecting rucks to go early at all, really. So just to see that sort of kick off the ruck run as well, that early was kind of interesting.
I think there was a little bit, there was some nervousness around, obviously, the rules, what's going to happen with the rucks. Do we go as early as we initially might have planned? But then thinking you don't want to miss out on one of those top 2 or 3 because it gets pretty dicey after that. But I think maybe we can talk about this later, but one of the takeouts at the end of the draft, certainly we've only got 8 teams, there were still some decent rucks who didn't even get picked. So I think it probably shows we maybe didn't need to quite rush into it as much as we did, or certainly as much as Dan did anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
As early as pick 3. So we moved on to round 2, and it was a snake draft. So Phantom on the turn had pick 9 as well. He went with Matt Rowell, which was
very interesting. Yep. So he's expected to be available for round 4. So is that right? Missing
first? Yeah, I think
first?
that's right, because their bye is round 3. So I think it's just after their bye.
So essentially, so he's picked someone injured to start. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it is an interesting one how you place guys who were injured. I know he was very keen on Will Day, who went in one of the later picks, who
Just
I
on
must
the
admit
bench,
I'd scrapped off my plans completely, thinking when he comes back we'll worry about him then. But maybe there's a case there to stash someone like him on your bench, but that's going to be a long wait.
Yeah, second round.
Yeah, that is quite early, especially when there, as we'll see, there were some pretty good midfielders still on the table. So Simeon had the next pick. He went Isaac Heaney at pick 10, which is again maybe I think a little bit earlier than I was expecting. Dossy again still just hammering the forward line.
Sammy Flanders, yes.
Come on down.
And then talking about some of these midfielders who were still there, DR, had the next pick 12, and got Noah Anderson, which I think
Raps,
is a great
and I had
get.
him above Rail in my rankings as well due to Rail's injury. So thanks, fans.
Yeah, surprising from
Good
fan
man.
there. But great pick DR there. Yeah, Noah.
Patch got Andrew Brayshaw, another top line mid at pick 13. Pick 14, Hugh McCluggage. Dan, another great get there. I was pretty keen on him, I have to say, but I wasn't too worried. Settling for Finn Callahan at pick 15, and then Chloe rounded out round 2 with Luke Jackson, another ruck at pick 16.
Yeah, I like the final pick, Luke Jackson. Where are you thinking Luke Jackson's at, DR? Because, I mean, I'd almost, considering he was the 4th ruck off the board, I think I'd be pretty happy taking him at that spot. Where are you thinking on Luke Jackson?
Absolutely. I think that's a real bargain. That's a real bargain. I had him probably the top 3 rucks. So to get him at that spot, I think is a real good deal.
Very nice pick.
Especially for draft, he's just, and even I'm thinking this way potentially for classic, that he just seems a bit of a safe bet when there's so much unknowns around these ruck rules. It seems like we don't. There's a mystery in the sense that we don't know exactly where he's going to play, but wherever he plays, we know he scores all right. So, I don't think you're going to lose out on him. Whereas some of the others, it's just who knows what's going to happen.
Noticing just a lot of mids in that second round, though. We just see people, and it is, I feel like, and I've gone 2 forwards just in this draft to start with, but I do find when you don't go a mid in that second round and get one of these big guys, especially in like a 10-team draft, maybe not 8, you probably get away with it, but with 10 to 12-team draft, if you're not getting one of those, if you're not squaring away a mid in round 1 or 2, I have found can be tough. You need a big dog mid, don't you, in the early rounds, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting looking at those first 2 rounds. There's only one defender gone, which was Naz, and the 2 forwards that you picked both so, and everybody else just went mid. So then we get into round 3, and this is where things got really spicy.
Oh, real spicy.
Chloe said going into the draft that she had her eye on this guy, and I assumed she meant, maybe with her last pick or really one of the later rounds.
I forgot it was round 3.
She may have been a little bit still on a high from the Blues last night out at Icon Park, but she's jumped in at pick 17 and taken Jagger Smith.
Yeah, wow. I mean, yes, if you're watching now, the practice match was last night. The Amy series was last night, 37 touches, and she's gone all in. So Chloe does a great job on the social media accounts for SuperCoach and massive Carlton Nuffy. So had to square a man away, but geez, that's...
I think she was just paranoid that someone else was going to take it.
Round 3. I love it, though. I love it. How big do we think he can go this year, Jagger? Like, especially in draft, where does he actually... I mean, this is too early, I think.
I think
where does he go? And what do you think... Like, what sort of average can we expect from his first year playing, but it is his second year in the system?
It's hard to put a ceiling on him, isn't it? After what he did last night, we know what the raps are on him. I was a little bit concerned he'd been out of the game for so long and might need to blow out the cobwebs, but a lazy 37 if you don't mind.
Unbelievable.
I'll tell you what.
I mean, that was always obviously the talk when he was a junior, that he just... I think he had consecutive games, had 50 and 60 possessions or something in the under-18s. Like, he just finds so much of the footy. And if he's shown he can do it at AFL level, I mean, Geelong's not an easy opponent either. So I think with these young guys, the question is, can they run it out for an entire season? They usually tend to sort of tire in the second half of the year, and in SuperCoach, we're sort of trading them in maybe around the buys. But I think Sam Walsh averaged 91 in his first year for, basically kept going for the whole 23, 24 rounds, whatever it was back then. And, Jagger seems like he could just about go close to that.
I was going to say 90-ish. Like, I'm actually that bullish because we thought he was going to have an amazing year last year as a rookie. And I think given he's had, even though he has been on the sidelines, like, you still have that year in the system to sort of, develop your body, get your fitness up when he was able to train, and then to come back in a second year. I could see 90, could you?
Well, Ashcroft mentioned that. Will Ashcroft, when he did his knee, mentioned that it wasn't the worst thing, having a bit of time out of the game, worked on his body, spent a lot of time with the coaches as well. So his footy IQ went up a level as well. I know that's hard with Will. It's top notch at the moment, Dossy. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing having a bit of time out of the game because you can work on other areas of your game.
Yep. Round 3, though, that's a stretch.
Yeah, I think we can agree. So that was the first pick of round 3. To continue on, then we had pick 18. I took Tim English, got started getting nervous about which rucks were left. Then Dan got Jack Sinclair at pick 19, which I think is a great get. He was, the second defender gone at pick 19. Patch, Tom de Koning at pick 20. Then another ruck, DR jumped in and grabbed Darcy Cameron, which I think, as you mentioned, was sort of maybe the last of that real sort of top tier rucks. Then Dossy Bailey Smith, an interesting one.
Bazilenka.
Been maybe
22.
a little bit of a slider, and we've barely seen him all pre-season. So, what do you think? I mean, could be a steal based on his average last year, but
I was happy, and just to point out, like we did, I mentioned a couple of times, did a keeper league startup keeper league draft in SuperCoach like just last week, and Baz slid way further than I thought. Now, I wasn't super keen to draft him in that sense, just because we do, sometimes there's a few ifs and buts around Baz, but when he's out there, 118 average last year, played 20 games. Like, it's good. If you miss one or two here and there, I'm not as bullish that he'll go 118 maybe, but still think he can go 110 like at a breeze, really, Baz. His work rate's off the charts.
I can't see that dropping off too far. And I mean, if you pick him in your midfield, maybe you're a little bit nervous about those laid outs, but you can maybe stash someone else on your bench, which is a strategy that you employed, which we can get into in a sec. But just finishing out that third round, Simeon and Phantom both took defenders, Connor Rosie and Lockie Whitfield. So that's rounding out the top 3 rounds. I mean, any other names there that jump out, or do we want to?
Well, I think for me it was that we got into the defenders here as well. Yeah. So you had Sinclair, Rosie, Whitfield after round 2. As you said, Dossy focusing on those big dog midfielders. And then it was the rucks. So I felt like I had to go Cameron because I thought there are really 7 rucks that we can choose from to have as our R1. And Cameron was in the top 7 for me in the last bloke there. So my hand was almost forced, I think, going Cameron. Only Smith and Smith. Double Smith?
Yeah, there's like a lot of rucks, as you said. Once Cameron's off the board, and I think it did kind of play out this way. And I was in the position I didn't have a ruck at this point. I think if you are drafting and those guys are gone, and you're in the same boat as us, and think probably that those top 7 guys are the ones. After that, I think there's no point drafting a ruck after that and just let it go.
Yeah,
I agree.
I waited till ages, till it just felt right to pick a ruck after that. Like, I just let it go. And I think that's a viable strategy, is just to punt the rucks. If you miss out on one early, don't go and pick up I got a Jared Witts was, I think, the next ruck off the board. I waited rounds and rounds. Don't just pick him up. Like, wait until you're kind of forced to, I think, at that point. Because as you said, like, what's the difference between a Witts, a Nank, maybe even like a Briggs? We don't know sort of there's not much that much difference is there.
Yeah, so I suppose the only thing is you don't want to let it get, once you get beyond those guys, then it starts getting a bit dicey. You're into your Jordan Sweets, even the number 1 ruck, Rob, who knows.
Yeah, if you're in like a 12 to 14 team league, maybe grab one of those guys.
I mean, the interesting thing is, we won't go through all the picks from here, but like round 4, up still, we've gone through the first 3 rounds and the only 2 forwards gone, Flanders and Sheasel. Did that surprise you, given that it's such a shallow pool? It
really did. And I think it probably speaks to, again, those rucks going earlier, which I probably didn't expect. But given 3 went in the first round, it really started that run earlier than I would have definitely anticipated. I thought people were going to be trying to grab those forwards. But maybe it speaks to as well, given the shallow pool, and I had the 2 probably best forwards out there, that nobody's really like, who do you pick next kind of thing. It's like, pick your poison. So I think
when you can still get a Whitfield or somebody, or you're picking them the next best forward, you just get the guy who could average 115.
Yep. No, but it was interesting, those first 3 rounds. Do we want to just go through 4? I mean, we might,
we'll do a quick. So Phantom jumped, we went down, there probably was a lot more attention on the forward line. In the 4th round, pick 25, Sam Darcy, the Phantom. Pick 26, Simeon got Will Ashcroft. Dossy Errol Goulden at pick 27, which I like a lot. Then DR Christian Petrarca, pick 28. Pick 29, Riley Thilthorpe. Patch got him. Dan grabbed Ed Richards at pick 30. I got Cozzy Pickett at pick 31. And Chloe with another left field option, we should say. Pick 32, Max Hall. In the forward line, who he was on my list actually, but I thought he might be a sneaky one, maybe...
a sleeper.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Chloe saw that on my notes and she's tried to head me off, but not quite sure he'll justify that high ranking, but I think he pretty probably will have a good year.
Yeah, it was an interesting pick for sure. But why don't we talk about some of our favourite picks that we had during the draft, Al? And again, if anyone wants to see the full recap, I'll put the link in the description as well. We've got a full story up there. We'll post some graphics as well on those rounds that you'll be able to see on social media. But if you want the full list of everyone's team, everyone's draft, we'll chuck the link in the description. Al's put together a story on Code Sports. So that should be good.
Lecky's going to, unfortunately, wasn't able to make the draft today, but he's volunteered to give a merciless review of everybody's picks. So
looking forward to
waiting
that.
to see what marks we all get. But yeah, that will be interesting. But I mean, I've got plenty of others here that I thought were really smart picks. A couple of mids. Zach Merritt at 35, Sam Walsh at 40, and then you got Josh Dunkley at pick 43.
Yeah. On the bench.
Look,
as we said, Baz Lenker, Baz, don't know if I want to 100% rely on that. Had to square away a nice little bench option there. And also, he was the best available guy there. And I was just like, do I pick someone in the defence that I'm probably can pick in 2 more rounds' time, or do I just square away the best available player, stitch someone like yourself up there, DR, and maybe offer some trade bait to you?
I couldn't believe he was still there. I thought, you little ripper, here's my M3.
Falling all the way down.
And then Dossy just pulls him out from
Snapped
under
him
me.
up. Good bench coverage there.
If we go further down into the 8th round, Lockie Neal pick 60. So you did grab one of your lines there. Is Lockie someone who's people are off him a bit at the moment, and there's a few things that have been going on. Obviously, he's been in the news, but in terms of what he's been doing on the field, it doesn't seem like he's going to drop too much.
That's why I love draft. There's no way you're looking at a bloke like Chocky in your classic team.
Yep.
But to be sitting on the board still there at draft with his talent, I don't think we'll see the Lockie Neal of old. But with everything that has been going on, is he just got tunnel vision for his football now? Could we see another great season? I'm not too sure how he's going to go, but for the value that we got him at there, I think it's
unreal.
I'll take it.
Let's speak about another one of your picks, because I think this was almost the consensus favourite pick of the draft, and we don't know how he slipped this far, but Haydn Young, your final pick in the draft. How'd you manage that?
92.
Just kept him quiet, kept him nice and quiet. I was surprised he was there as well.
Especially with all the classic hype we've got, rightfully given to Haydn Young this year as well. And
is it his price point? Is the fact that we look at his price point and go, well, we've got like an LDU that's in the 500 range. Do we have to go him because he's at that highest price point? Maybe that's another thing we need to mention to people. It's not all about the price, is it? Because there were some pretty high price players that didn't get selected in favour of some of the more mid-price options, but it's all about how we think they're obviously going to track this.
Yeah, so that 70 average next to his name, maybe just people sort of skimming over it a bit, but I'm surprised he didn't go early, so that was a ripping pick. I do want to talk to you about one of your other picks too, DR. Joel Frazier. So is he your man? You've picked him up, pick 44. So this was when a lot of the forwards had sort of gone, but you picked him up right in that sweet spot.
Yeah, well, I had Track in my top 3, so I thought I've already secured a top 3 forward, and Freya was actually my top 7. So I'm massive on him this year, and it's all about his role. If we look back to SuperCoach history with the Dogs midfield, since 2019, at least 3 Dogs midfielders have gone 100 plus. 3 years within that time, we've had 4 players go 100 plus. So I do believe Freya is the man. I think Lib is going to be phased out slightly. We know he does his best work in the middle, but I think at his age, they're trying to get some new blood in there. I expect Kennedy to play a lot more forward time. So Jolly Boy is the 3rd cog in that midfield for me, and if he stays there, I think he'll go 100 plus.
Is he still in your classic team?
Absolutely, Al. Absolutely. Not moving.
Wow.
That's great.
What about, I picked my second forward was Sam Draper, who I got at pick 63. Nobody picked up a bench ruckman at all, so I guess if someone goes down, we just go.
I got Romar. I did get Rowan Marshall. Yeah, who I think
him as a forward.
maybe become a forward. Yeah, that's right. No, but yeah, Sam Draper. Interesting choice.
The latest I saw on him was that he could be back for round 1, so I think he's sort of been just off the radar really because we haven't seen him at all at Brisbane. But the early talk in the preseason was that Chris Fagan loved him and he wants to play him as the number 1 ruck. So if you can do that and you've got him in your forward line, I quite like it with that just a little bit of ruck cover thrown in.
The risk reward, and it's like, pick 63 in an 8-team draft, round 6, round 8. Sorry, that's a fine spot. I think it's all right to sit there as he'd be your your F2. So
it's good buying.
So it's not bad, especially when you got your man a couple of rounds later to back him up, Sammy Lawler.
Yes. Like that. Couldn't go. I was a bit like Chloe with Jagger, and I got nervous and took him maybe a couple of rounds before I maybe needed to, but they didn't go quite as early as she did. But yeah, happy to have Sammy sitting on the bench. And then if we look at some of the more questionable picks, shall we say? We've already mentioned a few of them, obviously, guys who went reasonably early. But, I mean, the Phantom taking Matthias Philippou as his F2. I mean, he's got him as a top 6 forward in Classic, I believe. He thinks he can finish the year as top 6. So I guess if he does, that's a great pick. But
after watching him the other week, I can't really argue, to be honest, with that logic. Philippou was unreal. Where do you sit with him this year? Because obviously, Classic, it's just a lay-down Mazaire pick. He's 160k. But in draft, where are you willing to sort of put him on the line in draft?
Certainly not as high as Fance. Not as high as Fance, but I've got him ahead of the Simpkin types, even someone like a Dylan Moore type. I've got him ahead of.
Yep.
It could be a bit of line ball there, but again, I think lots of people focus on his price rather than what his capabilities are and what he can produce this year. So not as high as the Fance is, but I think he's going to be a good option.
Yep.
I think one of the overall lessons from the draft here, we had 96 picks, and for that second forward position, you can really take your pick of who you like, or maybe a third one on the bench. Like I got Tim Kelly with my second last pick. The second last pick I think of the whole draft. And I think once you get past that top sort of 10 or so forwards, it's just a totally open pool. So I don't think there's any need to rush in and grab any of those guys. But defenders, sort of, I guess in a way similar, that no rush because there's a lot of good ones. Although, what do you think of Dan picking up Luke Ryan towards the back end of the draft? I guess he was a late pick, but where's Luke Ryan going to appear? Is he even going to be in the Freo best team this year?
Might be playing Resies.
No, it's worth the risk at that point, though, I think, where Dan did pick him up, because he already had Dane Zorko and Jack Sinclair on field. So he's kind of just, in this shallow draft that we're playing with 2 on field, to have him as your bench guy, if he comes in, we know what he's going to do.
Absolutely.
He's just going to seagull back there and get himself probably 90 plus. So honestly, I didn't hate the pick at that where he took him, but we don't want to be taking him up with those premium guys of the past, given the worry. I guess the weird, do we really think he's lacking job security though?
Yeah, I think he's had some injury niggles, maybe just working his way back into it. But there's a couple who potentially ahead of him is the latest word out there. But yeah, he's been a pretty reliable performer for a long time for them. So yeah, wouldn't shock me if he's in their best team. But I'm not sure if there's any other picks you wanted to mention or dive into some of the guys who didn't get picked up. So there's a pretty healthy looking waiver wire in our league anyway.
Yeah, definitely in such a shallow pool. I mean, we'll just give one more shout out. Jagger Smith, round 3.
Max Gorn, pick 3.
Yeah, those were 2 interesting ones. Talk about the pool though, Al. There's a few available.
Well, a few names that caught my eye. So in defence, as I said, plenty of good ones still there, really.
So I guess we could say these are like sleepers in a regular sort of bigger size league.
Yeah, some of you might
given
be able
they're
to
not
grab
picked
later.
up by this point. Yeah,
exactly. So I wrote down Mason Redmond, Carl Amon, Callum Wilkie, Darcy Wilmot I really like, and Nick Newman, who played in the VFL game, I think, for Carlton last night.
Okay.
So we'll see if he gets back for round 1. But yeah, we know what he can do if he's fit. And also Caleb Daniel, who I think people are just completely wiping. But if he's still playing at halfback for North Melbourne, he's just going to get his 25 touches a game. I'm probably not thinking about him in Classic at all, but yeah, in draft, I think he's a perfectly valid selection.
Do you have any guys there that are available?
A bloke that stood out to me is Josh Worrell.
Yeah.
I think that,
good one.
he was under consideration for my bench spot. I think he's going to have a fantastic year this year, Josh Worrell, and we don't know what the kick-out duties are going to be like, but maybe between Worrell and say, Rory Laird, I think there's a bit of meat on the bone with Worrell. So he's probably another defender that stood out to me that didn't get picked up.
Laird was a slider too, wasn't he, for us? Pick 70, I think you got him, Dossy.
I did get Lairdy, yeah. Just looking at his career history, 100 plus every year.
Yeah.
Lairdy just seems to get it done every time. I've looked at a few Hawthorn players I think are sliding, just because they're not necessarily, Hawthorn's just not super coach friendly, I guess, if you will. But they tend to drop quite a bit in draft. Like a Josh Ward, could he get the keys to the engine alongside Newcomb this year? He's a guy that he went super late in a keeper draft I did, and he's in the pool here. So could he take his game to another level?
John Newcomb's in the pool.
Yeah, well, him too then. Yeah, a few. I mean, they took Will Day, the guys. That could be one of my bad picks as well. Why would we got 4 on the bench? Why are you taking Will Day when you got these guys there? Anyway,
that was interesting. I mean, a couple of other mids. Tuke Miller didn't get picked up. Timmy Taranto didn't get picked up.
Yep.
Another one that I think has been completely forgotten about is Jack McRae, who was sort of, everyone had him in Classic last year. By the end of the year, he'd sort of fallen down the pecking order at the Saints, and to be honest, I'm not really sure exactly what his role is going to be, but he's probably going to score well whatever he does. So in draft, I think he's definitely someone you could grab.
And could he even pick up, if he does have the worst role, could he pick up that forward status and end up being a valuable pick anyway? So
Yeah.
Good point. He's not the worst to have on your bench, is he? I mean,
Yeah.
it didn't even make our benches.
yeah, could be value super late in draft. I don't think I feel like people aren't just going to go there really. Given Flanders, Nazaya and Filippo, we seem to think the midfielders and even Windhager. So interesting.
I mean, he's got to play, doesn't he? And
Yeah.
if he plays, he scores, generally speaking. In the rucks, we did mention this earlier, but yeah, with an 8-team league, nobody picked Nank, Meek, Matt Flynn, Mark Pittenay, Kieran Briggs. So yeah, again, backing up what we were saying before, that you know, if you waited late and you got Jared Witts pretty late, you could have had your pick of any of those guys. So yeah, probably the top two or three of them I wouldn't have any issues with. Then it starts to get a little bit trickier after that.
Murphy Reid was one up forward that I thought maybe could have at least taken a bench spot. And even maybe for myself, because I picked up Treloar. Don't know his status on the bench, but, you know, was willing to take a punt there. But Murphy Reid, would love to have him in my draft league. Yeah, especially if you're picking him up sort of in that later, after all our sort of favourite forwards that we've maybe already taken in this draft are gone. I'd love to have a Murphy Reid and just see if maybe that mid-time increases and see how he goes. Even maybe just sneakily having an eye on in Classic on old Murph, but I don't think I'll go there. I think I'd prefer your man Fraser, but yeah, Murphy Reid, I think he could be a nice little draft slider as well.
Yeah, especially in that forward line. There wasn't enough, a number of other forwards that I was, that excited about that didn't get picked. I mean, you're looking at, I think the highest rank from scoring player from last year forward that didn't get picked up is Jack Graham, who's, I actually didn't know he'd gone as well last year as he did, but then you got guys like Harry Mackay, Sean Manor, Shea Bolden, Jesse Hogan. Yeah, it's...
Yep.
Simpkin was another one who I was considering there, but I think Dossy touched on it before. Once you've got past that top, 6 to 8 forwards, you can almost throw a blanket over the rest, can't you? It's, whatever floats your boat. But there's some half-decent names there in the forward line that didn't get taken.
But yeah, I mean, people did take, a Dylan Moore type, and I put Sam Lawler obviously is a bit speculative, but you could chop and change any of those guys, really.
Definitely.
So who won the draft, Dossy?
Oh, it was me, clearly. Going early on the forwards was a strategy I was kind of a bit worried about. I think I came home strong though, with Sheasel, Flanders up forward, Baz, Sarong and Goulden in the guts, Laird and Mills down back and Witts in the ruck. I think that's a formidable force with Dunkley off the bench. So,
yeah, look, I had to choose between you two. I think that I'm just ignoring that. I'm just ignoring that. I think, Al, I'm giving it to you, Al. I'm giving it to you. Well, Clark and Lizard, with your two defenders. I think the Lizards are a wonderful pod, even in Classic this year. If the buy wasn't there, I'd be really, really keen. And then Butters and Callaghan, that combo was your M1 and your M2. Very, very nice. English, so you got one of the top 7 rucks. Cozzy, I think most likely a top 6 forward. And then the swingman in Draper, if something happens with Timmy English, do a bit of a swap around, get him in there and you're rosy. So,
I mean, if things go well for Draper, he could be certainly a top 10 forward anyway.
Absolutely. So you've got that plus the insurance policy in the ruck, which I like, Al.
Yeah, no, I was pretty happy with that. I mean, I think the Phantom, we should give him a bit of a shout.
Nah,
okay.
Nah, none of that.
I mean, Real's obviously a bit of an interesting one, but he did get, who's he got on the bench as cover? Well, he got Charlie Curnow, I thought was a nice, we didn't mention him as I think pick 88 maybe. In the
it was a nice pick.
I think that's a nice late one to sort of swing around maybe with Philippou, but he's got Grundy, he took Grundy first, he's got Sam Walsh and Max Holmes in the midfield and Whitfield and McKercher in defences. It's a pretty nice looking lineup as well. I
think the cup will be coming home with one of us three though, guys, because DR's team looks pretty solid. Do you want to just read us out? We've done our team, so do you want to read out your team and then we'll wrap this up?
My team, all right. So in defence, we've got obviously Naz, who D1.
Beautiful.
And Bailey Dale, who I thought was a little bit of a slider, a bit of an injury concern at the moment, but I've got Dale there. Then Noah Anderson, Jordan Dawson, Chalky Neal.
Yeah,
Darcy Cameron is the ruck, which I'm pretty happy with there.
Yeah, totally.
And then the cement bag, Christian Petrarca, and my boy Jolly Freya. So
that is, if Fraser comes off for you, that team's looking absolutely elite, I would say.
The bench.
So once again, it's with us.
So I forgot my bench. I got one of my boys, Jasper Fletcher. Hey, this bloke could be anything. Could be anything, Jasper. Chad Warner, who no one was really interested in the midfield. Haydn Young, as we said, and Bailey Humphrey up forward.
Yeah, no,
Very
very,
nice
very
squad.
nice. So, yeah,
Very
no,
good.
I'm giving DR the honours, but we're interesting to see
kind.
when the season kicks off, and of course the trading and throughout the season is all part of the fun of playing draft. So get in, create your own draft league, set up your own draft day. I mean, that's just one of the most fun days of the calendar. So we certainly enjoyed it here today. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you, Dossy, for flying over, especially for this event.
Yeah, just for this one, yep.
And DR, great to have you in.
Pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. Good luck, everyone, with the drafts.
We'll be tracking your progress very closely this year. Thanks, everyone. And we'll be back very soon with recaps of all the AAMI practice season games, maybe a little bit more draft intel and focusing back on Classic as we count down to round 1.
See ya.